are part of this programme. You know, how is that going to affect you as individuals in this area with patient care? Okay, so anyway, I'll move on. And now I'm going to invite Jean Evanson, NUT Shropshire, who's done some amazing work in this area around education. So Jean.
Thank you to the amazing Gemma, I have to say. Right, okay. Our schools are in crisis. There's no question they're in crisis. Across the country and in Shropshire, classes are already getting bigger. Teaching assistants are already either losing their jobs or having their hours cut. And this is leaving children, including those, and especially those with special educational needs or disabilities, without the help they need.
Yeah. Terrible.
Enrichment activities such as sports and drama clubs are being cut. The curriculum is also being restricted down to a few core subjects. And then our children are not experiencing music, art and other creative subjects nearly as much as they should be. And why is this? Why is this happening? Well, it's because the government made a choice. The myth of austerity has been used to move money out of our school system.
Yes,
And for that matter, out of the NHS, out of welfare, out of the libraries, money is being moved out and it's going into the pockets of businesses.
That aren't properly audited, listening to the whole thing this morning with the healthcare incident.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
The latest move in education is to cut £3 billion, right, £3 billion out of the system by 2019. At the same time, corporation tax has been cut by £4 billion.
Even more disgraceful.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, meanwhile, money is being wasted, as Julian said, on free school projects and the ridiculous and fundamentally unfair idea of returning to grammar schools and, what they don't mention quite as much, secondary moderns. If you want to increase social mobility, then you fund education properly from early years to post-16 to adult education. I'll get on to universities. Right. The Tory government's latest attack on our schools will mean the following for some of our Shropshire schools. I'll just give you some examples, and colleges for that matter. Colham School will be cut by 2019 by £461 per pupil, the equivalent of 5 teachers. Miall Brace by £495 per pupil, the equivalent of 16 teachers. And the sixth form college over there, where I work, by £330 per pupil, the equivalent of 14 teachers. Overall, Shropshire is set to lose the equivalent of 417 teachers in the next 2 years. Right, okay. Now, it won't all be teachers that are lost though, because what else will they cut? They'll have to cut books. They'll have to cut caretaking services. So, you know, what would you cut? We would stop gritting the playground when it's dangerous. What are we going to do? Sixth form colleges, right? Sixth form colleges, such as the one that I work in, have already suffered huge attack. The Tory Lib Dem coalition government cut our budget by 14% in the 5 years that they were in power. Teachers there are paid significantly less and work harder. But what worries us even more is that classes are getting bigger, that there is less enrichment, the curriculum is narrowing, and access to A levels, and therefore university is getting more difficult for the poorest students and those with special needs. So, austerity was the excuse, which we all know is nonsense. As we know, in 1948, after a war, apparently then we could afford to set up the NHS. We also had a welfare state, and my life has been easier and safer than that of my parents as a result of that. A good education in a comprehensive school and a grant got me to university. I didn't have to carry a debt for the rest of my life, unlike my children. But it's not just about my children, it's about everybody's children. We want everybody's children to have access to the education, a good education, a properly funded education. So use your votes in local and the general election wisely. The unexpected opportunity of this general election needs to be seized. This is the general election which will determine our children's futures. Demand a pledge from any candidate that wants your vote, and look at the record of each party on funding. Look at policy and commitment and ideology. Who has committed to not implementing the cuts? Who has committed to returning our schools back into the hands of the people via an elected local authority? Who will enable all children access to a good, enriching education? We need to invest in our education system and return schools and colleges to the people. We need to invest, not to cut, and vote for those who will act accordingly. Right, thank you very much. Before I finish, I need to plug a few events that are coming up in the next few weeks. Obviously, it's a time when we've got to act very quickly, so some of these are just in the pipeline. Gemma was talking about the absence of a certain Mr. Kaczynski. He has accepted the invitation to participate in a question time, as have the other candidates for Shrewsbury and Atcham constituency, that's the word. Right, okay. I only work with the script usually. So there will be a question time on May the 17th, which is a Wednesday, at 7:30. Venue to be announced, but watch your Twitter feeds and your Facebook pages and your email box for more information. There will be an education question time, so hustings on education. More immediately, on Monday, there's a May Day rally in Dorley Park. I'm not quite sure of the start time, but I'm sure somebody knows. 12 o'clock. And also we have a proposal going. And we also have a proposal, so it's not yet fixed, but in the spirit of working together, as Julia talked about, so working together, all of us coming together for a what's it called, Brett? Tories out Saturday, or the end of May. It's the end of May. It's called the end of May, and it'll be on the 27th of May. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean, for that. Right, a couple more speeches left. So we've got to get away with